Okay, folks, so the scientific data just come in about how much rice we use. And if we'll get Calamansi to demonstrate, hold up our rice hopper that we put 20 kilos of rice in. Go ahead and hold it up, darling. Show everybody how much rice we got left. A little bit higher. They'll tilt it down so we can see it good. Yeah, move that bowl out of the way. That's their little scoop. Yeah, move the bowl out of the way. We want to get exact down to the exact. Okay, so that's what's left of 20 kilos. So go ahead and pour that in the bowl there. Pour that in the bowl for us, girl. Or scoop that out. So while she's doing that, folks. Now, this scientific test is only determining how much rice we utilize, or that our rice requirements. It's not how much we eat. And the reason being for that is that obviously Fatima sent some rice to the village with grandma. And so you can't say that that's what we eat here.
Ba't ay kad ano?
Fatima used the big scoop.
Huh?
She used the big bowl. Go get the big bowl.
That's an... Done.
Alright, girl, try to get out of here. Go to work.
So,
Let's go, girl. Dig, dig, dig. So I got the final data. I just did the numbers. And it's just more out of curiosity, right? So here's the final numbers. 20 kilos was issued July 28 at 1:45. Now I wrote the time down because basically the morning cook was already done. So that only counts as a half day. If that makes sense, right? So I wanted to be precise as I could. Last cup of rice was used August 9th at 5:45 p.m., which will close out the day. So that's a full day. So the total days are 12.5 days. So 20 kilos divided by 12.5, that's 1.6 kilos per day. Now, in our minds and what we had figured out in our heads before the scientific data came in is that we were using less than a kilo per day. Now, again, this is sort of a skewed study because it's not how much we eat here. It's not how much me, the two Filipinas, and the two babies eat. Why? Because we have more people coming over and eating all the time. Why? Because I know for a fact that several kilos of that rice made its way over to the village. I'm not complaining, I'm just telling you. Because some people might look at the numbers and say, my gosh, y'all eat too much rice. Well, again, I'm not saying this is how much 3 adults and 2 babies eat. Okay, we're in a different situation. Well, really, we're not. If you move here around your Filipino wife's village, you're going to find yourself in the same situation. You cannot budget food if you're next to your wife's village. You can't prep. You can't be a doomsday prepper if you live near her family. It's just going to go out the door. I'm not blaming them. It's just part of the culture. They want to take care of their family, make sure everybody's fed. That's their culture. If you want to budget down to the kilo of rice, the can of soup, and be a doomsday prepper, you need to go back to my rule where you live 1 island away from her family. And again, not picking on the Philippines. It's no different. You know, like my buddy said, he moved to his wife's small hometown in Tennessee. Every morning he woke up and there's a kitchen full of people in there eating all the cereal. You know, all her little nieces and nephews, she's feeding everybody. Cereal's expensive. So the man would buy this cereal at the grocery store and he'd never get a bite of that cereal because all the kids were coming over eating, right? It's just the way redneck families are, poor families are, you know, sticking together. So anyhow, 1.6 kilos per day, that's like almost double what I thought. And if you multiply that times 31 days, that's 49.6 kilos per month. Which if you buy the big bag, it's 50 kilos. So that's a nice round number in my head. Hey, I need 1 big sack per month to continue the way we live here. And again, it's about $2,850, I think, for that Doña Conchita. You want to know how much rice we use here? 50 kilos a month. 50 kilos a month. There you go. So thanks for joining us in this scientific study to determine what our rice requirements are. Now look, if we were living in Angeles City, I could tell you exactly how much 3 adults and 2 babies eat, because it would be only us eating every night. I could give you an accurate account. But I can't give you an accurate count, and you can't base your budgeting off of what I just told you. If you're living in Angeles City or Manila, you know, away from her family. But if you live next to your wife's family, well, all right. If it's just you and your wife, you probably need a 50 kilo bag of rice every month yourself. I'm just saying. Alright folks, well, thanks for joining us on this video. I hope you learned something. And if not, maybe at least you were entertained. We'll see you guys on the next one. Maybe the next scientific test I do is how many kilos of vegetables we use, or we eat every month, we consume, or our requirements. Because some of those vegetables will inevitably make their way to the village. And I could do that. I need to get a set of scales. Number one, to figure out how much weight we're losing. Well, we're gaining, losing. I think I'm still losing weight. They're gaining weight. If I get me a set of scales, then I'll start, okay, yeah, we consumed X amount of vegetables last month. X amount of vegetables came into this house and departed the house. Food's not cheap here. If you think moving to the Philippines food is going to be cheap, it's not. Compared to other places. Thailand is my home. Food over there is a lot cheaper. food here in the Philippines is not exactly cheap. I've had a lot of y'all notice the prices and say, oh man, the vegetables are cheaper here at Walmart. That's true on a lot of things, which is kind of crazy when you think about, most of the vegetables in the States are coming up on a truck, 1,000 miles just for a tomato to get to your grocery store. But yeah, food is not exactly cheap here. That's not one of the reasons you moved to the Philippines. There you go. Okay, folks. Let me bring up one more point. And one point that I'm really not factoring in is the human factor. 50 kilos is the minimal, the absolute least amount of rice that I'm going to purchase here. For this scientific study, I took the big bag of rice, I secured it here in my little man cave where it's under lock and key in a controlled environment. So I knew nobody could get to the 30 kilos in here. Now the 20 kilos was outside in the wild. And kilos of that rice left this house and made its way to the village. But it was a conservative amount because everybody knew I was checking the rice hopper. They knew that I'm conducting this study, and so they were probably very conservative about how much left the rice hopper and went to the village instead of being consumed here. So there was a human factor element that sort of made the ship run a little bit more tight and more efficient. Now, I know at least I need 50 kilos. But if I just roll in here with a big old sack and set it out there, and hey, my testing is over, I'm not keeping it locked down, I'm not looking in there like an asshole, right? It's probably gonna double. So it's sort of like if you bid a construction job, and you say, oh, the job's gonna cost me $100,000, you probably should double it, and that's more accurate, more close to what the actual budget's going to be with change orders and everything that happens on a construction project, right? That's what I do in my mind. If I say, oh, it cost me $100,000 to build that house, once I get done planning, I double it. Then you're not disappointed. Well, sort of with this little experiment, 50 kilos, double it. I really need 100. If the foreign guy's not here, I'd say 100. So you just double it. $100 a month. I gotta spend $100 a month on rice. Especially if I'm not here, if I'm in Thailand or traveling around somewhere, whoosh, that stuff is going. It's sort of like Zig Ziglar. I don't know if you know who he is, but an old school dude, back in the 70s, 80s. I guess he started out as a salesman maybe in the 50s. Anyhow, he turned into a motivational speaker, right? But he was explaining the Democrats and the Republicans. And what he said was, Mama's a Democrat and Daddy's a Republican. And he said, Mama's the type that, people would go by the house or whatever, and she'd be like, hey, y'all, come on in, get you something to eat. Come on in here, get you something to drink. And then Daddy's like looking around like, how the hell are we going to pay for all this? And that was like the quickest, most efficient way of describing Democrats versus Republicans. In a way, it's like his mom and his dad. Mama wants to feed everybody, do guys work, so to speak, and Dad's sitting back like, damn, I only got $50 left for the month on groceries, and she's giving everything away. Well, that's sort of how your Filipino wife is to her family. Not everybody else. They don't give a shit about everybody else. But to their family, that's how they are. They want to feed everybody. And then you, the foreign guy, trying to figure out how to pay for everything. And folks, I'm not saying that either one is good or bad, right? Somewhere in the middle is where things should probably lie. But you can't be extreme on one end, you go broke. Can't be extreme on the other end, you know, you're not taking care of family. Yeah, thanks for listening to that. I just thought I'd throw that out there. So in my mind, it's $100 a month. There you go.